Hello, and thank you so much for dropping by this video. A warm welcome to our live viewers. Happy Thanksgiving to those who are live or catch this on Thanksgiving Day. And, Thanksgiving's an interesting holiday in that what it's all about, gratitude, it's a really good idea to practice it and celebrate that every day. So let's take a moment and be grateful. Let's be grateful for one more day of life. Bruno Groening said that these bodies are a gift and that life here on this planet Earth is a gift. He said it's a profound spiritual opportunity to learn, to free ourselves from evil. And he went so far as to say that, at least I don't have the direct quote of his, but according to Greta Hausler, Bruno would often say that there were trillions of souls lined up, waiting for the opportunity to receive a body and spend some time on this earth. And over and over, Bruno talked about this life as a school. Now, sometimes it's not always the easiest school. And yet Bruno was very adamant that it was quite the gift and a very precious, precious opportunity. So let's see if we can find it within our hearts to be grateful for one more day of life and to really endeavor to make good use of our time here. So let's spend a little time taking in the divine healing energy. To anyone who's new, this is very simple to do. Please sit with your legs uncrossed, feet flat on the floor, hands on your legs, palms facing upwards. Back in a relaxed upright position, if possible, not leaning against your chair, and then close your eyes. Really separate yourself from all burdens, all worries, handing them over to your understanding of a higher power. And then engaging your will, your intention to receive this divine energy, this power. And then observe your body, noticing what you're feeling, having the will, the intention to take this energy in. All right, I'm going to play a piece of music and just notice what you're feeling and have this intention, the will, to really take in this energy. Pardon, little technical difficulty. The music will start in 1 sec. So what's on my mind today is this delicate dance between effort and grace. Here's a quote of Bruno Groening's. I am only the mediator. Faith alone does everything. And again, I do not deserve the thanks. The thanks belong to God alone. So I'm going to read the first part again. I am only the mediator. Faith alone does everything. And that's how Bruno Groening spoke of himself, as someone who passed along this divine energy. And interestingly enough, he said that made it more available to human beings. So he speaks of himself as a mediator and faith alone doing everything. That one's faith is really what determines, in essence, how much help one receives. And here's another. So that's very much on the effort side of us putting forth effort. In this case, having faith. Here's something else very interesting that Bruno Groening said, and this is from the book Powers of the Spirit. This is on page 29. And this is Bruno speaking to someone named Alfred Hosp, who wrote this book and who knew Bruno very well. So Bruno asked Alfred to do something, and his nickname was Freddie. Freddie said, "Oh, I can't do that." And then Freddie wrote, Bruno Groening became very serious and said with an insistent voice, "If you do not do what I say and work with me, I cannot help you. It's just as if I was pulling your cart out of the mud for you while you keep pushing it back in. I can support you in your... So let me read that again. If you do not do what I say and work with me, I cannot help you. It's just as if I was pulling your cart out of the mud for you while you keep pushing it back in." So Bruno often spoke of himself as a helper and that he was able to help. And here I kind of have the sense of both, of grace or help and our own effort, that Bruno made it very clear that if Freddie wasn't able to work with Bruno, in this case, Bruno made a very specific request of something Freddie needed to do. My understanding is that it also has to do, the general idea is also us striving to apply some of Bruno's teachings, of being mindful of our thoughts, of cultivating faith, of practicing Einstellen, tuning in, attuning, that it's not just, oh, Bruno Groening will take care of everything. We have our part. Now, ultimately, yes, God, through helpers such as Bruno Groening, yes, will take care of everything. As Bruno said, the good will prevail. And he often spoke about, he was very specific that paradise would be restored onto this planet. And that ultimately goodness is stronger than evil. However, when once referring to a person, Bruno said something along the lines of, if this person, a person or a soul can get lost for quite some time, that if we get on the wrong path, it can be quite a detour away from the good. So it's so important that we seek, we recognize our need for divine help, but simultaneously we make our own efforts and our own strivings. In fact, Bruno Groening said, if you want to experience the divine, you have to strive for it. So let's do a little striving. And I'd like to say on a personal note, I'm always trying to find balance on this topic, because sometimes I do get into a little bit of laziness and just be like, oh, God or Bruno will take care of everything. And that's true in the ultimate sense. But, sometimes I use it as an excuse to not do spiritual practice or not try, to not put forth effort. But simultaneously, if I'm just trying to do it all myself, and I'm not, as Bruno said, listening to God, seeking to be guided, it's like if I'm trying to be in charge of my spiritual life, well, that's erring maybe on the side of effort, or you could say self-reliance or self-will. So I don't claim to have mastered this dance yet. More and more, my spiritual effort is focused on connecting to the grace of God and the power of God. So it's kind of this. You could think of it someone whose goal it is to be rich, makes all this effort to connect with a very rich person who to receive some of their wealth, as opposed to just on their own trying to go out and earn all this money by themselves. I hope that metaphor is helpful. I say all this because in many spiritual circles that I've spent time in, there's this talk of, well, I'm going to heal myself, or there's kind of this over-reliance on self. At least that's how it was and that's how it became for me, of like, I'm just going to meditate and I'm going to do this. And the other extreme, which I've talked about a little bit, is not making any effort, just being like, oh, God and Bruno have this, or I've heard that in spiritual circles too, like, oh, I am the self. I'm already enlightened. I don't have to do anything, and that can be a blockage to the path. So I hope some of these reflections are helpful. It's a topic I really reflect on a lot, because Bruno really spoke about both. He said, a human being, man, cannot raise themselves up. Only God can do that. And he also very clearly said, only God can help. Only God can heal. So on the one hand, it's like, oh, only God can do these things. And on the other hand, Bruno Groening said that we need to strive. So my understanding, I've meditated on this long and hard, and if anyone has a different understanding, please share it in the comments after this video. I would love to hear, is that yes, there's this grace available, and yes, we have to strive to connect with and receive that grace. That's my understanding of how grace and effort align, and that's why I started off today saying, engage your will. That's our part. Our will and our intention. Engaging our will and intention to connect to God, to be guided by God, to receive the divine goodness. So I'm going to play a little more music. Let's take in some more of this good energy. Welcome. We've had a couple more people join us live. Thanks for joining in. So this very topic, divine help, our own effort, it really comes clear to me in a very, very, very simple exchange that Bruno Groening had with Alfred Hosp. Of course, Alfred Hosp, the author of this wonderful book, Powers of the Spirit, knew Bruno very well. So in his first meeting, so Bruno Groening comes into the room, has a little interaction with Freddie, that's Alfred's relatives. And then here's what Freddie says happened next. Then Bruno Groening suddenly came up to me, squatted in front of me, looked deep into my eyes, and asked with great seriousness, "Will you help me?" In my initial bafflement, I had no idea how to begin to answer this question. I did not understand what it meant. Since, let me give a little background. So Alfred was multiple illnesses, in a wheelchair, not expected to live for very long, and really feeling like Bruno Groening was his only chance at life, really, that he didn't have much more time on this earth. So Alfred continues, I did not understand what it meant, since I had come to him because I myself was in the greatest need of help. Nevertheless, although I was rather uncertain on the inside, out of sheer politeness, I answered with a firm yes. This is good then, replied Bruno Groening. So this was the very first thing that Bruno said to Alfred. Will you help me? Of course, again, Freddie was in a wheelchair, multiple serious illnesses. Eventually, almost all of, there was one that didn't heal, and Bruno actually said that was actually for Freddie's spiritual development, that it was best that one didn't heal, but all the other ones healed, and Freddie had a long, wonderful life. But what a funny first interaction. Will you help me? And we can partially see what Bruno meant. Later on, Bruno spoke about this metaphor of that Bruno was trying to pull Freddie's cart out of the mud, but he couldn't do it if Freddie didn't help. If Freddie, in essence, maybe not consciously, but through Freddie's effort, was pushing it back in. And on this very, 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 very same topic, Bruno said, let's see if I can find it. One moment, please. It doesn't depend on my small person, and also not on God's omnipotence. It depends on the person alone. So Bruno would often speak of himself as the little Groening. He would constantly say how small he was. And that's a very profound statement he just made. That it doesn't depend on him, and it doesn't actually depend on God's omnipotent power, but actually that in essence, it depends on us, on our own striving. Again, my understanding, our own striving to access that unlimited power. So let's take a little time and reflect on this and continue to make our own efforts to have faith, to access this power. And I will play another piece of music. So this energy and these spiritual principles are life-changing. And I'd like to share a very, very special help and healing I received. Let's see, it's November of 2020, and starting in March of 2020, over the last couple months, I've gotten cold symptoms. I can't remember now whether it's been 4 or 5 times, but it really started to look like I was catching a cold. And this, of course, is quite significant given the current world health situation. Not something to be scared of, but definitely not ideal. Not the ideal time to catch a cold. And so each time, what I did was to give the illness away to Bruno. Really take on with faith that God, through Bruno Groening, was healing and would heal this. To watch my thoughts with so much vigilance. And to really be mindful of the fear thoughts, like, oh no, I'm getting sick. And oh no, if I get sick, terrible things will happen. And really be very firm with those negative thoughts. Say no to them. And to come back to this simple practice of taking in the divine power. And each time the symptoms went away and I didn't catch a cold. The first time, the symptoms lingered for a day. The second time, I think they lingered, and this was kind of spread out. It happened about once a month for the first 5 months of this current health situation, 3 weeks to a month. And then I would start to get symptoms again, like a sore throat or a headache or congestion. Like it really felt like, oh, I'm starting to catch a cold. And each time I just applied these simple practices of giving the illness away, having faith that it would heal, really trusting in Bruno Groening, really having faith in God, taking in this energy and watching my thoughts very, very clearly. And each time it healed. And the first 2 times, this was very significant because it lingered and it really seemed like, oh, I might actually get sick. Like that was a logical conclusion. But logic is not the highest truth or the highest tool. I'm not saying to completely throw out logic, but there is a truth that is much beyond our logical minds. And through grace and through my own effort, through the help of Bruno Groening, through the grace of God, each time was able to access these spiritual truths and access this spiritual energy and have those symptoms and the cold just removed from me. I'm very grateful for this. And let's face it, it's no fun to get sick. But it's especially not fun to get sick in the year 2020. And the beautiful thing on top of this is that I used to get sick before I found Bruno Groening in this teaching, I used to get sick 4 to 5 times a year, 4 to 6 times a year, usually about 5 times a year. Now, if you think about that, that means I was catching a cold little over every other month, about every 10 to 11 weeks, 10 weeks or so, I would get sick. That's a lot. That's not a fun way to live. To get sick 4, 5, 6 times a year to catch a cold. And that was one of the first things that healed for me. And now I can't even remember the last time I had a cold. I think it's going on over a year, if not a year and a half. It's been a very, very long time. So logic says and this has been going on for years, where I got sick, you know, multiple times a year. Logic says, well, that's how it's going to continue. But again, that's just logic. Logic is nothing but a reasonable conclusion based on past evidence, and usually discounting God and higher power. Again, I'm not advising people to not think logically, to not use their logical minds, but let's not put our absolute faith in it. Let's put our absolute faith in the unlimited. Let's put our faith in that which is the source of the logical mind, and actually the source of everything, the creator of everything. Let's put our faith and trust there. So here comes another piece of music. Let's really once again engage that will to really take in and receive this divine energy. The easiest way I found to summarize this is God has God's part, and I have my part. It's a working relationship. My part might just be 1%, but according to Bruno Groening, without that 1%, this growth and healing isn't going to be happening. So with this, especially the first time, and I think the second time too, with the onset of the cold symptoms, I really had to fight the fear thoughts. They came so strongly. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get sick. You know, again, the current world health situation. Oh, and then I'm going to die, and just very scary thoughts. And Bruno Groening was adamant that the spiritual path is a bit of a battle. Not a bit of. He straight out used the word Krieg, which means war, struggle, battle, life or death struggle. And life or death struggle may be a little too strong of a translation, but an intense struggle And my understanding of what Bruno shared with us is it's not a struggle we can win on our own. My other understanding is it's not a struggle that God will do completely for us. Wouldn't it be nice? But then, in another sense, as God's spiritual children, then we wouldn't really grow up. If a parent does everything for the child never learns how to take care of themselves, how to do many, many things. And Bruno even once said, with this practice of tuning in, you fill up with this good energy, and then it's so much easier to fight that spiritual fight. And if I can remember correctly, he said, it's so much easier to repel the negative thoughts. I'll have to paraphrase. It's so much easier to repel the negative thoughts when you're full of good energy. And we all have experienced this to some extent. When we're tired or feeling depressed, then we're maybe not as mindful of our thoughts. I know that's my experience. So let's tune in and charge up for this spiritual school we're a part of, this spiritual struggle, and really, 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 really receive this good energy. like to thank everyone for joining in. And I hope everyone had or is having a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm very grateful for this channel, this opportunity to share these teachings, to tune in together with other people. It's been a huge blessing, and thank you so much for blessing me by joining in. You give me the gift of an audience, of inspiring me to do these videos. And if no one showed up, yeah, I might still do them for me, but I would be much less inspired, much less frequent. So very grateful. So let's close. I'm going to close with some prayer requests. So let's really ask that this beautiful energy free us from everything not good. And we ask for mercy, grace, forgiveness for ourselves, and to extend that forgiveness to others. Please, for spiritual strength to seek out God, for faith and trust in God, monitoring our thoughts, recognizing that thoughts disconnect us from the divine. And let's ask for the places we live, for our families. Let's ask for the city we live in, the state we live in. Oops, I forgot neighborhood. For our neighborhood, for our countries, and for this one world we all share. Let's ask that every living thing receive this, take in this good energy, and be freed from everything not good. And once again, for ourselves, deeper and deeper dedication and determination and devotion to God and to enjoyment of life. This life is meant to be enjoyed. Peace and happiness, health are natural. Let's ask for those who are near and dear to us in our hearts. Any special requests we have for upcoming endeavors or trips or projects, or even just a meeting that we have on the calendar, that this energy bless it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, I'm going to play one more piece of music and really enjoy and receive. very festive piece of music for our festive day. I wish everyone here a very beautiful, beautiful day. Once again, thank you so much for joining in. I hope to see and feel you soon. Take care.